Hello and welcome to the Michael Mama Show. I'm your host, Michael Mamas, and we're coming to you from Mount Soma, home of the Sri Someshwara Temple in the mountains of Western North Carolina. So today, Scotty and I are going to be talking about something a little different than what we've been talking about lately. We've been doing an awfully lot with, the world situation, and we may touch into that just a tad, but really what we're going to talk about today kind of goes back more to what the general category, I guess you'd say, of things that I really have addressed more in my classes, and that has to do with spiritual things. And today specifically, we're going to talk about guardian angels. What are they really, and what I think even more importantly, or perhaps I don't know, but what's a mature relationship with guardian angels? Uh, and it's a delicate topic. I'll tell you, one of the reasons it's a delicate topic is because for a lot of people, it's difficult to maintain a balance with it. Uh, they either get into this whole thing where it's hocus pocus, not real, or they go kind of hook, line, and sinker and get into sort of this kind of a la la land world with the whole thing, and just become unrealistic and kind of airy fairy or whatever. But just having a relationship with that, and not just guardian angels, but the whole arena of spirituality. I mean, to have a mature relationship with that, a balanced relationship with that, is so critical and so delicate. I know that as perhaps in these podcasts, but even more so through the years, decades now, with my teachings, I always emphasize kind of a rational component to the whole thing, just so that people don't get off into la la land, And I've done that for decades. And at one point, I came out with these techniques, and I know the pundits were like, what did Pundit Prasad say? He said these techniques haven't been made available to the world in thousands of years. And they're beautiful, very profound, extremely powerful techniques. But they they actually entered the arena of, connecting with the rishis, connecting with divinity. And it was really interesting and kind of unfortunate to me. I mean, I realize why they probably stopped teaching them thousands of years ago. I don't know. But people kind of went off the deep end with it. I've always talked about, as my teacher used to teach, the astral arena, the arena of, dreams are part of the astral realm, and kind of superficial, sort of new agey, if I can say that without sounding too derogatory, relationship with spirituality, kind of, again, the la la land sort of thing. And I know my teacher used to say that the whole astral arena is a vast and desertous wasteland, and which is why I waited to teach, connecting with that sort of a thing in any sort of personalized manner, until people really had a strong basis in intellectual understanding, but even more importantly, in the transcendent, in the Chaitanya value. But I was pretty amazed that so many people, when I taught it, just quite frankly, they couldn't really handle it. Either they weren't probably meditating enough or what have you, I don't know, but they weren't really established strongly enough in the transcendent, so they couldn't do the techniques and have them work. But at any rate, for whatever reason, they kicked out into sort of this astral relationship with spirituality that I think, and with the gods and with the rishis, or the deity of their choice, and it was a mess, and it was really unfortunate. But it made me realize how easy it is to go out of balance with the whole thing. So at any rate, we don't want to do that in our relationship with this whole notion, this whole idea, this whole world of guardian angels. So what is the reality of guardian angels? And maybe even more importantly, how do we connect with that in a mature way, in a balanced way? And I think for most people, the best way to do that is to start with a relationship with loved ones. Different cultures have, different types of relationships with family members and with people that they love. And I know that some cultures, the family unit is really tight-knit and strong. In others, it's not really valued nearly as much as it could be, not really understood as much as it could be. And we get off on such kind of like head trips or whatever, ideologies, if you will, notions, if you will. And it kind of breaks down the whole family unit and the whole family dynamic. But I think every individual has some sense of the importance and the reality of that dynamic, down deep within their own being. Even people that were adopted as infants and stuff, they feel a connection and they have a longing. There are all kinds of stories about it to, find their birth parents and any brothers or sisters or what have you. So the connection there is very, very, it's real, it's material, it's tangible. I don't know about material, it depends on how you use the word, but it's tangible. It does exist. And that connection, be it with a family member or with even there are certain people in life that you just have a deeper connection with, not just as friends or anything, but on that level that I'm talking about, that uncompromisable reality that is there even for people who, kind of dissociate from their family. But with respect, why am I bringing this up now? Well, with respect to guardian angels, how would we say this? Let's say that there's a loved one, be it a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, whatever, that you felt a really, you had that kind of connection with. It was a family connection. And then they passed away. If you can just be, the word is innocent, just innocence, meaning that you're just coming from what's genuinely there inside, not overridden by an ideology or a notion or a narrative. But if you can touch base and touch into that feeling of connection, and different things can facilitate that, particularly at first, it might help to, look at old family pictures, portraits, what have you. And it kind of enlivens the sense of that connection on that level I'm talking about. I'm not talking about emotion. I'm not talking about anything that's superficial, really, if I can use the word superficial. I'm talking about it's a tangible, it's almost like an Akashic level. It's not purely transcendental because there's personified correlate to it, and it's in the relative, if you will, but still it's very, very deep, very, very deep. And what happens, you see, are you with me, Scotty? Is this all making sense to you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good. Now we can say, even after those loved ones may pass away, that connection is still there. I think sometimes people might be in denial of it just because it doesn't make, sense to their paradigm identity. But if they can just see past that paradigm identity and just feel, not an emotional level, but a deeper level, they'll realize that connection is there. That connection is there, and it's real. So to really get into this, fully, we could go into, and this is a big subject, but life after death, and after somebody does drop the physical body, what's their relationship with their loved ones, and that. To say it succinctly, that it depends on the level that they're on in the moment after they drop the body. They could just immerse themselves deeply into the transcendent, but just like people, we meditate, we go deeply in the transcendent, then we get, I don't know what's going on with this headset, and then they get more into relativity. Let's try it in the other ear, maybe that'll help, I don't know. And like that, even people after they drop the body, they can do the same thing. They can go more into the relative or more into the transcendental. But here's the thing. If you feel into that connection, and it's predominantly, now we're talking about a love connection, and you feel into that even after they drop the body, you can feel that connection. And it may even help to say something to yourself, like, just to get started with it. If they were to say something to me, what would they say? And really, that's all there is to communicating with them. Really, it's just that simple. But the thing is, when they're on a deeper level, when they're on that transcendental level, when the physical body drops away, the superficiality of personal interactions or conflicts or whatever also tend to drop away, you see. And so when you connect with somebody on that deep level of communion, of oneness, of union, the wisdom aspect of their being comes into play, or the deeper aspect, the loving aspect. And that's what a guardian angel is. I know that, just as an example, there was a time when somebody, a loved one, was, having real trouble. And it's actually, I was, doing my offerings, my morning offerings at the altar, and I'll say this guardian angel, this person that had passed away, and they weren't a blood relative, but they were nevertheless close and a relative, through marriage. And I'm telling you, she came to me and she was like, I'd almost use the word in a panic. She was in a panic. And she wanted me to do something, but the words weren't clear. And, what did she want? What did she want to do? What did she want me to do? How could I help? But nevertheless, she was in a panic and she was coming to me, and it was only some time later that I came to realize what it is she was so concerned about. And that's real. It's real. And really, the only thing about, your ability to do that has to do with not getting off in the la-la land with it. Not, I'm talking to angels or whatever. But just kind of, it's a deep grounded feeling inside. And it's something we all can do. And I think the main The two main barriers, one is getting off into la la land, getting off into the astral with it. The other main barrier with it is just our own doubt, our own disbelief. But really, you get past those two things and it's just so natural. The connection is so there. And we all feel that connection, but we have these other, couple of components getting involved that get us distracted, and then if we do get off into la la land with it, then so many people will say, hey, you're nuts. You know what I mean? Now, having said that, the question comes about, can these, guardian angels, which is what we're talking about, can they actually intervene in the physical world in any way? Can they actually affect change? And maybe the best way to talk about that is, I think I've touched about this in a previous podcast, perhaps, but you'll see these athletes and they'll in competition and they'll say, oh, they just won the match, or the contest, the sporting event, whatever, and they'll thank God. And then what do people do right away? People will say, well, what are they trying to say? God was on their side. God wanted them to win. What about the other team? And the way that works is that if we have an individual or a group and they have that kind of connection among themselves, but also to the, team spirit, that word spirit, and also it can even be if they're representing a high school or a town or a city or a state, there's a certain spirit value that's there that they connect with, that we can deem as, a guardian angel on some level. And that value, that quality holds and supports them. It help them win the game. It's a team spirit. It's a community spirit. It's a national spirit. Patriotism is that spirit on a national level, and it goes a long way into feeding and supporting the health. And if it's really, really strong, miracles can happen, and they can happen in different forms. They can come to you as a thought, or they can be what, we might deem as, an incredible coincidence. Why did they turn right instead of turning left? Or why did that event not happen and the other event did? And the event that did happen turned out to be, a godsend, right? And the importance of this, it really can't be understated. Now, there are two things in current events that merit mentioning in this context. And one is, and it doesn't matter which side of this argument, if you will, you're on, but the whole thing with critical race theory being taught in the schools, and then the parents rising up. And there's clearly a very tremendous, huge power to the parents rising up. It's a spirit, if you will. It's a feeling, and messing with that feeling with respect to children, it's a mistake to mess with it, and it's undeniable. And everything, like I say, is a personified correlate. It's a whole other lecture, but personified correlate to a puddle of polluted water in an alley of downtown Manhattan, it has a personified correlate with it. It has a feeling to it. If you were to represent that thing in a personified way, would it be a gargoyle, or would it be a beautiful angel? Well, it would be a gargoyle of some sort, And same thing with if you go to a valley on a beautiful summer morning and there's just still the dew on the grass and everything is lush and beautiful, that has a personified correlate to it. And those personified correlates, they have a reality. Now, again, we don't want to get off too far into la la land, but nevertheless, if we can have a mature relationship with that, it evolves us, and cultures have histories of getting out of balance with it, let alone individuals. The whole idea of astral worship, it can go over the top. I'm sorry, ancestor worship, it can go over the top. Astral worship as well. I even think in some cases, the American Indians were really in touch with that sort of thing. But I think in some cases, even that perhaps went over the top. I'm not an expert to speak on that, but it's my feeling, But what's more important, certainly in the context of what we're talking about today, is the fact that the American Indians did have that quality, and they had it in a very deep and real way, at least at one time, and some still do today, no question about it. But now, with this advent of the people, the parents and CRT, and also what's going on in Canada with the truckers, that's a very interesting phenomenon, because the truckers now, I mean, they're against the mandates for vaccines, for example, but something like 90% of them have already been vaccinated. So what it's really more about in one sense is that it's about their deep connection to, and if we put it in these words, the spirit of the country. And in that spirit of the country, there are guardian angels that support that sort of a thing. And all we're talking about here is the personified correlate to that connection. And those are guardian angels. And it's real. And another place, if you go to a school, particularly like an elementary school, there's a feeling, and it's very interesting because it's the same kind of feeling, at least in my experience, whatever elementary school I've been at, all over the world, India, Philippines, all over the United States, there's a certain feeling around elementary schools that is exquisite. And I think would be difficult if you just allow yourself to feel into that feeling. It would be difficult to try to convince yourself that, if you're just honest about it without overriding it with, in quotes, rationality, that there's a personified correlate to that there. And my experience of it is there are big, tall guardian angels that circle elementary schools. And it's very real. It's very real. There's a very different quality of guardian angels that circle around a lot of, if not almost, universities in the country and colleges. It's a beautiful feeling. It's very distinct, very certainly unique and tangible. So all that stuff has a personified correlate if we're willing to open to it. And there's a movie that you might be interested in watching. I think it's on Amazon Prime. I think it might be on Netflix too. It's called, what's it called? The Cokeville Miracle. Cokeville, C-O-K-E-ville, V-I-L-L-E, the Cokeville Miracle. I started watching that, and halfway through it, I was like, oh gosh, why am I watching this? But then it turned, and it's a great movie. You might want to watch it. Anything else on all this, Scotty?
You were talking about how, the sports teams and God and all that too. Mm-hmm. There's the zone people get into, Yeah.
And it's a feeling. Yeah. A zone.
Yeah. Where, it seems almost like transcending, because, I've felt it before, on certain things where you're just feeling it, you're doing
yeah. Well, you went to the what was it? The not the Super Bowl, but the
Oh, the
Playoff,
NFC
playoff.
playoff. Yeah.
Did
Uh-huh.
you feel it? Did you feel it there?
Yeah, you can definitely feel it. I've been in, fortunately, in a few towns where that's happened, where like I lived in San Francisco when the 49ers won, and
Hmm.
there's a feeling that you can feel. It's strong and palpable, and you just know that everything lining up with nature or whatever.
Yeah, beautifully put. Everything's lining up with nature,
Yeah,
and there is a personified correlate to it, and that's what we call guardian angels. But I need to reiterate that it's so easy to get off into la la land with that. It can be strong. I mean, like you were saying at the sporting events, it's strong, it's powerful, it's all consuming almost, and it's great.
yeah,
But and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about kind of how would you put it, Scotty? Kind of the La La Land connection with it, where it's
yeah,
all and you walk down the street and you talk to hello Mr. Leaf hanging on a tree or whatever, and the whole thing
yeah,
becomes silly, or you get so enraptured into emotional indulgence about even God. You can get into an
yeah,
over top thing. Uh, And so I guess what I would like to encourage people to do is open to it, but don't lose your balance along the way, And I think the easiest way to start feeling into that um, is to feel your connection with your children, feel your connection with your grandchildren, feel your connection with the people that you love, and realize that when the time comes that anyone, including you, but because we all will, but any of those people drop a body, the connection is still there. It's still real. And the only, really the only obstacle to tapping into that is your own willingness to be with it, to not, judge it as mood making or what have you. And if you can do that and maintain your balance, uh, miracles can happen. Anything else, Scotty?
no, I think that's good.
I think that does it. Team spirit, family spirit, patriotism, national spirit, global spirit, all those things are very, very powerful, very, very real, very, very healing, and they can affect the course of time and the occurrence of events in the material world. Okay? All right, you might want to watch that movie. If you go into Netflix or Amazon Prime, wherever it was, and you give it a chance, then you can see there are all kinds of movies sort of along the same line. But I think that, to my experience, probably the best one to start with. Really, it's the only one I've really done. I started looking at another one, but I haven't gotten very far into it. I don't know if I will or not. But it's worthwhile. It's more than just worthwhile. It's essential to what it means to be human and fulfilled. All right, that's it for now. And nothing else, Scotty. We're all good to go, and we'll talk with y'all again next week. Thanks for listening.